NVIDIA has decided that they're going really hard against miners, might even be coming for your card. Intel decides that better packaging is better than a better processor, and your PS5 controller is likely only going to get worse. Welcome to Hot News, everybody, where we go through the hottest tech news that's on the internet. I'm your host, Brett. Thank you for joining us. Hit the like button and get subscribed to stay up to date on all of the tech news that we've got going around the internet. Let's join in first with the top story of more details on the NVIDIA RTX 3060 anti-mining thing that they're putting into the cards. This came out, we talked about this last week's episode of Hot News, where NVIDIA said that the 3060 will have half the performance in Ethereum mining than it otherwise would because of some new anti-mining features that they're implementing. And now we have more details surrounding that, according to Brian Del Rizzo, who's the director of global PR for GeForce. He said that it is not just a driver thing like NVIDIA initially said. There is a secure handshake between the driver, the RTX 30 Silicon, and the BIOS firmware that prevents removal of the hash rate limiter. So for anybody who was expecting that you were going to be able to hack the driver to get it in there, it appears that NVIDIA is taking this a step further than just whatever's implemented in the driver, but there's actually a whole lot going on in the card to make it so that you will not be able to mine with this. As I mentioned in last week's episode, this is something that could be construed as anti-consumer rather than anti-mining farm, because you're not really affecting the larger cards and the ones that people are likely going to be buying in bulk. And that's where the next part of the story comes in, because there's some indication that NVIDIA is going to end of life the device IDs of the gaming cards that are currently out on the market, such as the 3090, 3080, and 3070. And we're going to get new specs of these GPUs that aren't necessarily new GPUs, but they just have this anti-mining feature baked into them. So that likely means that the cards that are currently out are only going to go up in price because miners will have to find those instead of using the new ones that are going to come out with the anti-mining software. And it's just going to create this whole confusing situation of miners trying to be like, yo, listen, what's your device ID? I need you to install GPU-Z. I need you to check this little number right here and get back to me. And then everybody else be like, I don't know. I just want to play video games, mate. So NVIDIA is coming out hot and heavy, appears to be refreshing their entire card lineup to address this. I want to hear what your thoughts on it. We got some good comments from you guys on Friday. A lot of you upset with NVIDIA over this. A lot of you upset with miners for just even requiring this in the first place. Let me know your thoughts on the new updates that we have to this story down below in the comments. And just an update to the Gigabyte RTX 3090 Turbo. It has been end of life. This was a 2-slot blower fan that's not going to be available anymore. There's still a couple that are out there, but I wanted this one since the moment I saw it, and so now I'm sad. I didn't have $1,500 to spend on a graphics card. I'm just sad that I won't be able to get one if I wanted it. And I don't know if I want this, but Intel is trying to get me enticed into the 11900K packaging by looking like a wacky, wavy, inflatable thing. This is a weird shape. They're going with it, like they had the dodecahedron on the 9900K, and it's only on the 11900K that we're getting this weird, odd, Tetris-like shape that they're just, everything else looks normal, as you can see there. If you can't beat AMD, you gotta look better than AMD. AMD is just a boring little box. Intel, they're zigging and zagging, my friends. When AMD goes straight like paper, Intel zigzags. Facts. Now let's talk about some facts with regards to BlizzCon and Twitch DMCA, because in a twist of sheer irony, and one of the most hilarious things that you could see on the internet, BlizzCon happened over the weekend, and when it did and Metallica was playing as the music, Twitch was so afraid of getting DMCA striked from Metallica's music that they decided to put stock music over it. It's hilarious. I'm not going to play it here because we don't want to get copyright striked by Metallica, but we'll leave links in the video description, where as soon as Metallica actually starts playing, they have to cut the actual music on an official Twitch stream. Like, this is hosted by Twitch, and they just can't even do it because of copyright strikes. And it just comes full circle. People can't listen to Metallica, and Metallica doesn't want people to pirate their stuff and listen to it on the internet. Just a giant circle. Hilarious. Speaking of that BlizzCon, it got announced that Diablo 2 is getting a remaster, in case that interests you. And in case this interests you, Street Fighter and Fortnite is going to be the next crossover, and Chun-Li is not going to be excluded from Fortnite, even though she was excluded from the Mortal Kombat trailer. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, my friends, it is time for the Bitcoin update. So just a quick update on what's going on with Bitcoin right now. It's currently sitting at $56,767 with a previous high of $58,000 $1,000, and its total market cap has passed $1 trillion. Absolutely insane. That concludes the Bitcoin update. Now let's give you an update on a story we talked about last week with regards to the storms that's going on in Texas and that cold winter snap. We talked about how Samsung actually had to shut down one of its fabrication facilities in Austin, and it turns out that that shutdown is not going to impact things too much. They're saying that's going to be about 1 to 2% of the foundry capacity, and therefore shouldn't have a noticeable impact on the supply chain and might result in some price increases here and there, but not something that's going to fundamentally devastate anything, which is about as good of news as you could expect with everything that's going on in Texas right now. But there's not good news when it comes to the Sony PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. We talked about last week how there's a class action lawsuit that's now been filed against Sony because of stick drift that's going on in these controllers, and it turns out with a post from iFixit, they understand why, and it's only going to continue to get worse because of the parts that they actually ended up using in the stick. It's only going to wear out very quickly. Something like only 400 hours of gameplay should be enough to wear out the potentiometers in these things and then to start introducing drift, which then means you have a couple solutions. Number one, you get it R-made by the manufacturer. Option number two, you learn how to solder and get a new stick on there because Sony likes to stick it right to you. And option number three, you buy a whole new controller. Thank you, Sony. This is great stuff. iFixit really kind of just laying out that they could have prevented this. This is a known issue with some of the analog sticks that you could potentially put in the controller, and that this is really just an oversight by Sony. They were so worried about making the adaptive triggers work that they forgot to, innovate at all with the analog sticks. So just like Sony, I'm not going to stick around. This is the end of this episode of Hot News. Hit the like button, get subscribed, and potentially even check out last week's episodes of Hot News. We have a playlist right up here, and you can also check out the last video from UFD Tech right over here. I've been Brett, your host, and I'll see you in the second episode later today. Cheers, friends.